Hi everybody, welcome back to trainingtheolderadult.com. I am Robert Linkul, and today we are going to talk about shin splints. First, we're going to discuss a little bit what a shin splint really is and kind of how they occur and why they occur. And then I'm going to show you a couple really cool exercises you can do to improve your shin splints and or prevent shin splints from ever occurring to you, because they're pretty miserable. It's not great to experience. They hurt kind of constantly when you do get them, and it takes a while to get rid of them. So let's take a deep dive into the shin splints. What are they? Why do we get them? How can we prevent it? And what exercises will help us stay strong? What exactly are shin splints? So here's what's happening at the leg, which ultimately produces a shin splint. Contact with the ground when walking, 1 to 1.5 times your body weight impact with each step. Running, maybe 2 to 2.5, maybe 3. Sprinting, definitely 3 times your body weight. And or jumping, depth jumps, box jumps, anything like that, hitting the ground, high impact, and then taking off again. Upwards of 4 or 5%, maybe, or 4 or 5 times as much as your body weight. Point is there's a lot of impact going on at the leg. It impacts through the foot, foot goes to the ankle, ankle up through the shin, shin to the knee, knee back to the hip, hip up to the back, etc. Something has to absorb all of that impact, anywhere from 1 to 5 times your body weight. So where does it go? When you impact the ground via the foot, it's going to go back into the ankle and start to work its way up your shin. This is a very long bone, the tibia and the fibula on the side. It has good musculature for most of us on the back side, but the front, there's pretty easy exposure, and with a lot of high impact and not enough bone density or enough durability built up, meaning you start to do too much too soon in a new running routine, walking, rucking, whatever it is you do. The bone starts to take all this impact and envision like a big piece of wood, a thin piece of wood, and you start to bow with it, and you see all the fibers going tuk, 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 and they start to break out. That's basically what's happening with your shin. Now, let's not be too dramatic. It's not going to snap or anything. It just causes a lot of discomfort. So that's bone damage. When we look at the muscular damage being done, when you are walking uphill, your feet have to dorsiflex. That's pulling the toe and the foot up. But when you go downhill, we have to allow the foot to come down, eccentrically allow the foot to come down. And if you don't have the strength built up or you're just allowing your foot to just impact and go because you're not really aware of it, you could get something called toe slap. So your foot slaps down every time you step. When the foot hits, it's going to slide forward, so you get something called toe bang, where you bang your toes into the front of your shoe and your nails and your feet get all messed up, your toes get messed up. So all of that impact starts to go back through the toes, back through the foot, and you start to have anterior tib, posterior tib, muscular pain on the front of the shin, because the muscle is then getting over-abused, swelling, getting banged up. And basically any kind of itis is the inflammation of that muscle due to overuse. So you have bone damage, right? Some bones are starting to fray and getting little breaks in there. And then you're also having muscular damage, the muscles being abused, trying to slow the foot down, either up or downhill, trying to absorb that impact, and the muscles are just fatiguing and you're getting banged up. So the shin starts to hurt, the muscles around it start to hurt, and you get this aching pain up and down the leg. It can go all the way down towards the ankle and then kind of stem up into the knee. It's a very uncomfortable thing. So let's talk about, now that we know what they are and how they happen, let's talk about some exercises that can keep this from happening and help us stay strong. Exercise number 1, we need a beach towel or a shower towel laid out over some type of wood that will allow the towel to move freely. Okay, don't make fun of my white feet. Now with heels on the wood or tile or linoleum, whatever you want to use, I want you to start left, right, left, right, left, right, and just start crunching away here with your toes. And you'll notice as this is going, you're going to see all the musculature, the anterior and posterior tib, start to work, and you're going to feel some really good burning in here as you go. You can also do same times, okay? And you want that towel to start to fill up underneath your foot, and it's just going to make it harder and harder and harder to crunch. And so this grip strength, oh, it starts to burn. Really gets a good burn down here for you. This one is hard. Next exercise is called dorsiflexors, a loaded dorsiflexion. Any way you can do this works great. I've seen it done with kettlebells, I've seen it done with sandbags, I've seen it done with ankle weights. So take your ankle weight, lay it right over the top of the foot, Velcro that guy on there, nice and good, and get into a position seated here where you can hold your feet up and just start working this dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. Okay, continued action here, but where the load is really being worked is the dorsiflexion, the pulling of the weight back up. And now it might only be, 3, 4, 5 pounds, and that's okay. You got to think about when you're out walking, running, or rucking, hundreds, if not thousands of steps that you're going to put in. So we want this to be kind of light and have to do a lot of volume to really start to work these anterior tibs, the ankle stabilizers, the posterior tibialis, etc. You can do some circles in here, inside and outside, and work some of the musculature around the ankles and just keep working on that big range of motion dorsiflexion. Now I'm about 30 in and I'm really starting to feel it low. It's just going to keep working its way up. Now I'm also getting isometric on my quads, holding the weight here, so I'm feeling a little bit of that. You're getting a lot of great value from this loaded dorsiflexions. All right, our next one is a loaded calf pump, but it's going to be a little bit different than you maybe see in the gym or you've done in the past. I want you to take that big shower towel or bath towel that you had, and I want you to double it up, make it nice and even, and then we're gonna double it over again, and we're gonna make ourselves a nice little pillow, a thick little pillow here, double it over again, double it over again, and then fold that guy. So we've got, 3, 4 inches of height here that we can stand on. We don't wanna use a step or something solid. I want it to be squishy so your feet have to react into the ground. Now what's gonna be different is I'm gonna hold a weight in my right hand, but not in my left. I'm gonna put the balls of my feet on, top of the towel. I'm gonna allow my heels to drop and touch the floor. And then I'm gonna squeeze up onto my tiptoes and return, tiptoes and return. So it's a big, full range of motion. Going pretty steady here. I'm not in a huge hurry, but I do have a little bit of an overload because I'm only holding the weight in the right hand. So let's say we're gonna do 40 of these. When I get to 20, my right calf is going to definitely feel a little more work. I'm going to switch the weight over and perform on the other side. And now the next set that I do, I would want to start on the left side and then switch right. That way, every time I'm recovered, I'm not giving the best energy to my right side because I'm starting on that side every time, right? So always make sure you're switching that up. Now, a couple of key components to this. When you're raising up onto the toes, there's a natural tendency to kind of bow out and lend towards the pinky toe a little more. Make sure you're rolling in towards the big toe. That really maximizes your gastroc and your soleus, both of your big plantar flexors. Because we're working on lowering the foot down, avoiding the toe bang, doesn't mean that we can't work the other side of this class 2 lever at the ankle, the only one in your body, and the musculatures around it. A pulley is only as strong as both sides of its tension, so we got to make sure our plantar flexors are just as strong as our dorsis. However, it's usually the other way around. We're usually too strong on these guys, but it's always a good thing to work on this, okay? Now, one other misconception, the single leg calf pump. When we do this, single legs often produce a shorter range of motion than you do in a dual and double bilateral position. And that's because one calf is trying to move the entire body through a range of motion that's really needed to do two. It's the ground contact, the balance, the range of motion. Independently, it doesn't do it as well. So you really need to focus on increasing strength. Let's say one side's weaker or stronger than the other, by putting more load on that side, but keeping both feet on the ground. So you maximize that big full range of motion. And we don't do these short little calf pumps on a single leg and then shorten our Achilles and shorten our range of motion. We want more range, a little bit more mobility, and to create greater stability around the ankle via doing that process, okay? So overload right, overload left, next round, overload left, overload right. Make sure you're switching that so your weaker side or stronger side, whichever it is, gets a good fresh effort. All right, gang, so those are the exercises that we want to do to keep our feet, our ankles, and our Achilles and our anterior tips and our calves, all that nice and strong to help us in our daily out there. Now, there are definitely more you can do, but those are the three that are really going to do some good work for you, okay? Now let's talk about, maybe you get shin splints, what can you do to start to improve the discomfort, get rid of the pain, and get strong enough to get back onto the field or court or hills or whatever it is you're doing. Now, number one, there's all kinds of anti-inflammatory based products you can use. There's Icy Hot, Tiger Balm, Bengay, BioFreeze, all these. I use one called Muscle Butter. I really like this because it's number one, it's an all natural product. It's made of arnica. It's 60% arnica, which is a major anti-inflammatory. It's a flower and pineapple extract. It's awesome stuff. It works extremely well. I've used it now for months. I absolutely love it. I go through 2 bottles a month, and it works really very, very well. So utilizing this or something that's going to assist. The other ones all have certain ingredients that make you feel it. It burns, it colds, it tingles, this and that. You don't feel this, it smells really good, and it just absorbs into the body and does really good treatment. So I think something like that could do very well, okay? Number 2, imagine this is a Dixie cup, okay? You know the little plastic cups you sip your mouthwash with at the dentist, right? So take one of those, fill it with water, freeze it, okay? Now when you tear off the top half of that frozen cup, you basically have something that you can hang on to the ice cube with. You have half the cup that you tore on the bottom. Now you can grab the ice cube, which is frozen now on the inside, and it's exposed, okay? And what you can do is get your big beach towel and have a seat and just start ice massaging your skin up and down, inside, outside, go all over, and just keep going until the entire ice cube is gone. So you have a nice way to do a massage and your ice treatment built into one, okay? So Dixie cups, those will do you great. Put maybe 8 or 10 of them in there. Do this a couple of times a day. That should help quite a bit. All right, one other option you could do too. This one is called a sidekick tool. You can use any of these little scraping devices. Now, when you hear the word scraping and you see this, a lot of people start to freak out and they're like, oh, that's gonna hurt. Basically, this is a way to stimulate growth and recovery. It works very good for increased blood flow, some massage therapy, not really fascial release, but just some scraping action to help stimulate and create some movement and some engagement there. So about a 30-degree angle is what you're looking for, and you're just gonna start to rub that shin. Now, mind you, I'm not on the bone, I'm in the meat, I'm in the muscle, right? And they have different like lotions and ointments you can put on here. The Muscle Butter works great. Put some of that on here. We can do a little live demo here. While I'm on, slide some of that guy on there and get this guy and just start rubbing that in at about a 30-degree angle, and you just start working through your range of motion here and give yourself a nice little massage. Plantar flex the foot, loosen it up a little bit, dorsiflex, get some good engagement, and just work through some good ranges. It massages in your muscle butter, but you also get that little stimulation and increased blood flow there on the muscles itself. This is a great tool. These are great ways to increase the health and the quality basically of the treatment that you're doing, and give this a good rub in when you're done. The efforts that you're gonna put in to trying to get yourself healthy, you wanna maximize these and find the ones that really work well for you and do them often. My advice is don't wait until you get the shin splints. Do a lot of exercises and do the strategies we'll talk about here in just a minute to make sure you don't get to the point where you get these guys and now you're like, man, how do I get myself back? So preventative care is definitely tip number 1. Tip number 2, ice cups. Some type of anti-inflammatory treatment like an arnica is definitely going to do you very good with your muscle butter, and then some type of manipulation and massage there. Scraping, cupping can even assist too as well. Just make sure you go to somebody that knows what they're doing. Don't get hacked on by somebody and end up causing more damage. All right, gang. Our last strategy for success with our shin splints is to just keep them from happening at all. So really good ways you can go about doing this. Number 1, whatever exercise routine that you are getting into that may have caused the shin splints or is going to cause them, Slow and steady wins the race here. So really take your time. If you're new to rucking, which is something I've been very into the last year or so, make sure you start really easy. Go out for 20-minute rucks with 5 or 10 pounds in your pack or in your vest. Don't overdo it. Work your way in gentle. If you're starting a new walking routine or running, don't go out for a 5-mile run. Go out for a half-a-mile run and gradually work your way up. Let your bones and your muscles understand what kind of stress you're going to put them in. There's something called the SAID principle. It's a specific adaptation. Your bones getting hard, your muscles getting stronger to an imposed demand. Specific adaptation to an imposed demand. That imposed demand is the banging on the ground. The adaptation is your bone and your muscle getting stronger. So give it the opportunity to do that. One time you overdo it, everything gets damaged, and we're doing all those other things that we talked about, okay? So number one, go easy. Number two, really good foot care. This is a Noble lifting shoe, cross-training shoe. Notice that it's very thick on the bottom and there's not a whole lot of play in here. It's not great for me to be out walking, running, or doing any kind of outdoor activities necessarily with this other than lifting weights and moving about in the gym. Where with this guy, this is a running, rucking shoe. And look at the waffles at the bottom and the wider base and the high impact. Get yourself a really good Ultra shoe, Brooks, New Balance, Asics, any of these shoes that are designed to go off-road, off-trail, walking, running, designed for linear, sagittal plane forward movement and a lot of impacts and good foot support, arch support, heel support, etc. Get a shoe that works really well for you. Hydration is huge, stability, ankle mobility, as we talked about, all very good. A successful resistance training program, 2 to 3 days a week, at least 20 to 30 minutes, if not more, of good full body work with a special emphasis of posterior chain, pulling, hinging, rowing actions are definitely gonna help out a lot with that too. And nutrition, very good nutrition, making sure your body's getting all the nutrients that it needs, especially with an emphasis on all natural, organic, whole food based ingredients. Basically try not to eat a lot of processed stuff because it doesn't really benefit your body all that well. So drink a lot of water, eat like a grown up, eat really good foods, train smart and regularly, have very good equipment and good footwear. I'm a big believer in investing once or twice in really good stuff and having it last forever. The reason I say twice is a lifting shoe and my rucking shoe, instead of trying to buy one that'll do it all and it gets ruined and I get hurt all in that same little period. So invest, be smart, train well, nutrition and hydration for your body is key, and gradually work your way into your program. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it was a lot of information. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below and I will get back to you. Please subscribe, please ring the bell so you get to see all of our new stuff that comes out. Head over to Training the Older Adult, sign up for our newsletter there as well. We love and appreciate you all. Thank you so much. I'm Robert Linkul. This is trainingtheolderadult.com and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.